Howdy
gamers.
Today I'm going to be presenting a Google slide. I haven't ran out of ideas. I've ran out of ideas. There's a lot of thought in this, so don't make fun of it. Simplicity and versatility. Pokemon's concept is pretty simple in contrast to other games. Instead of being the hero of Limgrave or whatever, you're a 10-year-old and you're kind of just walking on routes, exploring the countryside instead of, fighting werewolves or whatever. This makes for some pretty unique strengths, I feel like, because most games are a dystopia while Pokemon is a utopia. Like even Mario, if you think about it, Mario's like a zombie apocalypse. Like the Koopas and Goombas everywhere. That is it. Like, real talk. If that was real life, I would not be as optimistic as Mario. I'd be like, they're everywhere, Peach. What do we do? As you guys can tell, the font is Times New Roman. I just really wanted to get across that I was writing literature here, and this wasn't just some throwaway thought, okay? Feel free to take notes. And down below, we also have example pictures. Next to the U.S. Constitution, we got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson pictured to the left, and Reggie Rock pictured to the right. I don't know how many games can get away with a base builder minigame, or an Olympics minigame, while still tying that into the world and the progression. In most games, it doesn't make sense to build a base, but it does in Pokemon. And it's pretty easy to tie that into winning battles, making money, buying furniture, wash, rinse, repeat. It's like it integrates very easily. This is overlooked. That's why there's so many Pokemon spin-offs. It's so easy to integrate things into it. Flashy stuff is cool too. It's not that Pokemon is bad when it's flashy and good when you're doing some mundane stuff. There's times when it's flashy and it's good, right? Back in the day when the pirate ship shot a giant ice beam at that city in Black and White 2, I was like, yo, and you gotta go on the flying pirate ship and fight an evil team of pirates. Like that was kind of in your face. They marketed that. And that was good. And then there's times where, in Pokemon Sword and Shield, they did this super flashy thing where Chairman Rose is like, oh, turns out I'm a bad guy and I'm gonna solve the energy crisis. And everybody's like, what energy crisis? What does this have to do with the silly octopus I just caught? So sometimes they do flashy stuff and it works, and sometimes they don't. All I'm trying to do is just point out that mundanity is a unique strength in Pokemon specifically. It's not bad when it's flashy all the time. It's not good when it's flashy all the time. Pokemon is just a unique utopia in gaming, and that makes it function a little bit different. If you've played a game like Animal Crossing, you know that sometimes the most boring gameplay to watch is the most fun to play. If you was there, you know that the base building was actually really cool in Pokemon. This is hard to read. All these words are getting in the way of my beefy 5-layer burrito. What I'm getting at is that when you watch people play Pokemon and all they're doing is running around and picking up items or talking to people, for me, I prefer I'm mostly thinking the older games in this video. They weren't exactly blowing you away with graphics. It may not appear fun, but there would be systems that were so in-depth and tied together that when you're picking up items, you're not just picking up items. You're looking for a specific move in a dungeon to give to a Pokemon to take to the battle frontier. It was like everything kind of tied together, and it's a lot more fun to play than it is to watch. I feel like that's why we overlook just how different Pokemon's world is. It just doesn't look different. You know what I mean? It doesn't get in your face about what is so unique about it. It's just kind of like an anime game. Holy moly, guys. Pokemon post games. So many mechanics, mini games, and dungeons. Pokemon would put all this flashy stuff into the main plot of the game. That was where like the marketing came, right? They would try to put in unique cutscenes and everything. Legendary Pokemon, and that was to market. But then once you spent 10 hours beating the game, the rest of the world would open up and there would be legendaries hidden in dungeons around the map, mini games with unique mechanics that would actually reward you and build you up. Like when you won a game of Voltorb Flip, you could use points to buy very good moves. It wasn't just like, oh, I found a cool mini game. It's like, actually, I need to go play this mini game to get this thing to do that. So where most people stop playing after the main plot, the really unique side of Pokemon didn't really pick up until you'd already beaten the game. And unless you were young like me, just willing to put hundreds of hours into something, you might have missed just how much was in Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, Platinum, Emerald. If you dug those games, you could just keep digging for like 300 hours. And the main plot was like, what, 10 hours long? And all of it was pretty laid back. It was all at your own pace. You'd just be flying around the map. Maybe you were trying to complete the decks. You were just re-going through the route, getting all the items you missed the first time, catching catching all the Pokemon you did in the first time. Right? Since the game wasn't shoving dialogue in your face, cutscenes, trying to move some story along, it was really self-paced, and you could kind of put your own goals into it. I think I talk about that on the next slide. That's not what I talk about on the next slide. Yeah, being whisked away. Look at Patrick. Patrick is like how you feel when you realize how much there is to do in the old Pokemon games. You start floating like you smelled a pie and you just get whisked away into it. Like maybe you just wanted to shiny hunt. Like let's say you're shiny hunting a level 4 Shinx. You don't want to kill it. So you gotta get a Pokemon with False Swipe, Thunder Wave. We gotta go catch that guy. You gotta go build him up. You gotta go run to that town over there. You gotta go run to Kurt so he can make you Pokeballs real quick because you don't have any money. The amount of things that just flow in and out through the system. As soon as you have your own goal, Pokemon would have an entire world that you have to make use of multiple towns, multiple NPCs just to catch a level 4 shiny Rolts. And they would make unique mechanics for it too. It was like a thing in your item menu, you'd open it up and it would help you encounter rare Pokemon. And basically it was like this whole thing, this whole like mini game where if you did it right, you could have a really high encounter rate for a shiny. You could sink like maybe a couple more hours into it, maybe catch one shiny, be done with it. Or you could sink hundreds. None of this is really around anymore the way it was. And I think that's just because it doesn't market. It doesn't market to have a big post game anymore. It doesn't market really for you to have your own goals in a video game. They need a waypoint that is this big on the screen telling you where to go. There needs to be a menu for everything on the screen, a huge HUD. I gotta know where north, south, east are. I gotta know what item I'm holding. I gotta know what item I just picked up. And I'm not trying to complain about modern games either, okay? Like, I'm sure we all have similar sentiments. There's games that put icons on the map and tell you what to do that are still very fun. I just think there's something objectively good about booting up a game, flying from town to town at your own pace, figuring out what your own goals are, and just kind of being whisked away into a world, right? Or at least it's a unique strength of Pokemon. Of course, all of this is objective fact. None of this is just my opinion. If this video gets 3 likes, I will buy a clicker off Amazon. If this video sucks, let me know. I wanted to try this format because I'll spend so much time making an essay on some game that I don't upload for months. So I was trying a more conversational thing. You know what I mean? I feel like there's a conversation to be had about post games, about games that didn't market but were really fun. You know what I mean? Mechanics that we don't see anymore. These are things I miss from older games. I miss getting lost in them. With all that said, I appreciate your time and God bless you. I love you. Ciao.